So while extending your C drive with the unallocated space on your Windows 10 or Windows 11, you might have an issue where the extend drive option is being disabled and grayed out. Let me show you. On my end, you can see I have this unallocated space and I want to extend my C drive with this unallocated space. But when I make a right click on the C drive, you can see the extend volume option has been grayed out and I'm not able to extend my C drive. And it's generally because the unallocated space is not exactly on the right of the C drive. And in between the C and the unallocated space, there is another partition by the name healthy recovery partition. And we cannot delete this healthy recovery partition because this is really important for your Windows 10 and Windows 11 while the recovery. But luckily we have the solution here where instead of deleting the healthy recovery partition, we can disable it temporarily. And once the work is being completed, we can again activate it. Alright, so in order to perform this action, click on your Windows search, type CMD, right click on the command prompt, click on run as administrator, click on yes, and the black window will be up. Now here we have to run multiple commands and make sure that you do not make any mistake here, and all the command I will leave in the description. Okay, so the very first command will be reagentc space / disable. And this command will be disabling the Windows recovery environment. So just type the command and hit the enter key. So once it will be done, it says operation successful. Now next we have to enter the disk partition. So type another command diskpart, diskpart, hit the enter key. And now you will be inside the disk partition. So first we need to list all the disks. So for that we will type another command and that will be list space disk, hit the enter key. And it will show all the disks connected to this device. On my end, I have only one disk, so I will select this disk. But in case if you have connected multiple disks to your device, then you have to choose the one where you have to manage the partition. So in order to select, you have to type select space disk space the number of the disk, that is 0, and hit the enter key. Now we will list all the partitions. So type another command list space partition, again hit the enter key. And this will list you all the partition available inside this disk. Now here we have to look for the recovery one and it should be labeled by the name recovery and you can even identify by the size. So in order to select, I will type select partition, then the partition number, that is 4 for this recovery. So I'll type 4 and the partition will now be selected. So now once we have selected the recovery partition, we need to get the more detail about it. So type another command that will be detail space partition. Again hit the enter key and this will now list you all the detail about it, like the ID number and the attribute of this partition. Now you need to make a note of this recovery type and the attribute, and we can save this somewhere in the notepad because after disabling the recovery partition and once we are able to extend the partition, later in order to re-enable the recovery partition, we will need all these detail. So what you can do, bring up the notepad. And then you can just copy this ID, type, and paste it. Do the same with the attribute because we will need both type and attribute. Alright, once done, now you can minimize the notepad. And then finally, we can delete the partition. So we have to type another command that will be delete space partition space override. And hit the enter key. And it says diskpart successfully deleted the selected partition. Alright, so we are done now. Now this time if I go to the disk management, let me bring up the disk management. And bingo. So now you can see the recovery partition has been disappeared and the unallocated space is on the very right of the C drive. So now we can easily extend the C drive. Let me show you. If I make a right click on the C drive here, so I'm getting the extend volume option. I can make a click on it, click on next, and I can extend the volume very easily. Bingo. Alright, so once you have extended the partition, now we have to re-enable this recovery partition that we temporarily disabled. Alright, so in order to do that, what we can do, we can take out around 1 GB of space from this C drive. So make a right click on it, click shrink volume. For 1 GB, I can enter the amount in MB, that will be 1024. And then I have to click on shrink. An unallocated space of 1 GB will be created. So I will right click on it, new simple volume, next, 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 and finish. So as of now, we have only created a simple partition. Now we have to make it recovery partition. So for that, again, bring up the command prompt, enter the disk partition. So type diskpart. Then we will list disk. So I will type list space disk. We will select the disk. So I will type select space disk space 0. Then we will list the partition. So I will type list space partition. Now we have to select this partition, that is 1024 MB that we recently created. So I will type select partition space the number 4, and this partition will now be selected. Now we need to assign that particular ID and the attribute that we just copied. So for that, type another command that will be set space ID equal sign, and then paste that number, that ID number that we saved here, copy it, right click and paste it, hit the enter key, and it will say this partition successfully set the partition ID. Now we also need to set the attribute. So type another command, gpt space attributes equal sign, then copy the attribute that we just pasted here in the notepad, right click and paste it, hit the enter key. Okay, seems that we made some mistake here, and that is basically, okay, we missed s here in the attribute. So again, I will type the same command and I will add s here, and bingo, this part successfully assigned the attribute to the selected GPT partition. And now if I bring up the disk management, so boom, now you can see the recovery partition has been recreated. Now the only problem is that this recovery partition will also display in the file manager. So if I bring up the file manager, you can see that it shows me here new volume E. And if you want to keep it, then you can keep it. But if you want to remove it, then you can also do that. Very simple. Again, bring up the command prompt. In the disk partition only, type list volume. Then you have to select the same volume. And on my end, you can see it's volume 2. So I will type select volume 2. Once selected, I will type remove space letter equal sign and then the drive letter. And we are all good to go. Now this time you can see in the disk management, it shows me the recovery partition. But if I bring up the file explorer, the recovery partition will not be displayed here. And now finally, you have to enable the Windows recovery environment. So again, you have to bring up the command prompt. So click on your Windows search, type CMD, right click on the command prompt, click run as administrator, click on yes, and type here reagent c space / enable, and hit the enter key. And it says operation successful. Alright, so now all the work has been completed. Alright, so this way guys, without using any kind of software, without using any kind of tool, you can quickly extend the partition without any kind of problem. So that's all guys for today, and hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If yes, please hit the like, subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.